Welcome back to Uncaged from talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Pleasure as always to be in your company. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel because this week we have got one heck of a week. UFC 304 hits Manchester, this man's hometown, and we couldn't be more excited. Please give it up for the one, the only PFL featherweight, soon to be two-time PFL featherweight champion of the world, part 2, Mr. Brendan Loughnane. How are you, mate? You good?
Speaking about Manchester, can you get a more Manchester backdrop than this? Look, I'm on the road today. I'm in between sessions, juggling this, training for world titles. I've got it all going on, Adam.
Listen, our international viewers are going to be very thankful for what you're doing there, Brendan. You're bringing them into fight week. You've made them feel like we're on Coronation Street, mate. Look at that. Look at that. You've got the bricks. You've got the bricks behind. You've given them that northern tour. You can even see the smog in the air, my friend. People are in Manchester for the show.
This is it, mate. Look, I thought, you know what better time to do an on-tour Manchester one? You know what I mean? Scenic.
Perfect. Listen, as a little bit of an added treat, we're not going to bring you just one preview this week. We're going to bring you 2 previews because we're going to do this at the start of the week before we've spoken to any fighters or have been around UFC 304. And then at the end of the week, we're going to do this in person. We're not going to do it over screens like this. We're going to get together. We're going to sit next to each other, get one camera, and do it in HD. 4K, that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring it to you at the end of the week once we've kind of viewed everything, whether it be on the cusp of weigh-ins, whether it be press conferences, whether it be media days, because you do get a little bit, and you'll listen, I'm teaching me grammar to suck eggs here. This is where you start to get your reads on fighters throughout the course of a week, isn't it? When they're doing the press, when they're doing their interviews, when you're starting to see that weight cut, whether it's hurting them or not, you get a few little tells throughout the course of the week, don't you, Brent?
Yeah, of course. Like, you can usually tell from Monday morning who's struggling and who's not, because you start seeing cheekbones going in. Yeah, you start seeing energy low, and you also see the ones that are up for it, the ones that are rolling into fight week going, listen, I can't wait to do him in. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a proper good time. I always know from the Tuesday who's about it and who's not, honestly.
Well, on Friday, we'll give you that review. So this is our pre-pre, and then on Friday, we'll give you the pre once we've got the inside information. But make sure you like and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on any of our content. And we'll also have some interviews coming your way this week because his mate has now confirmed that he's going to be in Manchester on Wednesday, Mr. Volkanovski. So I've no doubt there'll be a little bit of a meet-up there. We'll all have a little bit of a chinwag there. And then, like I said, we'll get together on Friday for a 304 proper preview. Shall we start with the main event, mate? We'll start with Leon Edwards and Belal Muhammad. Welterweight title is on the line. We've seen 7 minutes at this previously, or maybe 6 and a bit minutes of this previously. Obviously stopped prematurely in the apex because of an eye poke. But the 6 minutes that I saw up to the eye poke, Leon Edwards was well and truly in control. But what I will say is that since those 6 minutes, Belal Muhammad has surprised me. He has developed, and he is looking better. He absolutely has earned this opportunity, but has he shut the gap enough to cause an upset on Saturday night, mate?
I mean, he's definitely found his tongue, hasn't he, Adam? I mean, he said he's going to walk him over to the corner and do the whole Khabib thing, and then he's going to jump over and attack Fabian. Like, really? Are you really going to do that, Belal? Like, are you really, bro? Is that what you're going to do? Like, I mean, I like him, yeah. I've met Belal. He's a nice guy, but it's slight delusion, Adam. It's slight delusion in it. Let's have it right. Like, the chances of that happening are less than 1%. The chances of him jumping over and beating up Fabian, I mean, come on, mate. Like, let's sort some sense now.
But maybe, I mean, is there any strength in somebody speaking something into existence? Not necessarily the things that you're referring to there, jumping over cages and carrying people across, but talking so much that you convince yourself that it is inevitable to become the champion. You've got to believe it before you achieve it, as Mr. Bisping would say.
No, listen, you've got to say it as it is, but at the same time, like, let's just talk about reality. Like, the fact that you're saying you're going to do what Khabib did, yeah? Like, you're just not going to do that part of it. Like, you're all about, yeah, I'm going to win the fight and I'm going to do this and my technique's going to be sharp on the night. But then when you start going to the levels of you're going to dive over cages, it's just like, you know what? It turns fans off, Adam. It turns, like, it just makes you very unlikable when you say stuff like that, because we all know that is not going to happen.
And that's fair. What have you made of his development since these two originally met? what have you made of his development? Because he's been working with Khabib, he's been working with Eagle MMA, he has developed, and he actually looks like he's developed his striking more so than his grappling.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you can't take away his resume, can't take away his record, and the fact that he does deserve this fight. No one deserves it more than him. He's a great competitor, but I just think Leon's in his prime, man. Leon's in his stride, and I'm not just saying that because we know him and he's English. He's looking unbeatable right now, Leon, and what a tough time to fight Leon Edwards.
Really? How are you expecting this to go? Because I watch Leon and I see striking masterclasses at times, a person that controls range beautifully, and I could sit and watch it all day long. But I'm a particular type of fan, I suppose. Those that like Crash Bang Wallop, those that like those knockouts, they're going to be screaming for something viral come Saturday night. Do you think Leon needs to rubber stamp this one? Do you think he needs to deliver that moment that sets the world on fire?
I mean, it would definitely help him. You know, it would definitely help him with that, like the Kamaru Usman last minute, the speech from the coach. You know, that really put him on the map. And if he could follow that up now with a similar sort of thing, we're talking about superstardom. That's where Leon's at now. And I think Belal's a good canvas. He's a good opponent to do it
on. With all that said and done, we've got two title holders, haven't we, defending their crowns on Saturday night. Tom Aspinall's in the other one, and it's another rematch. This one's against Curtis Blaydes. We only saw 15 seconds of this first time around. There's not really much data to go off from the first fight, is there? But it does feel like Tommy's a completely different human being walking into this one to the one that walked down at the O2 Arena. I don't know about you, mate, but Tom's always felt, pre this injury, a bit apologetic for being as good as he was. You know what I mean? Like he didn't want to fully jump into the fact that, yeah, I am as good as I am, and I could be the best that has ever done it. Now, since the injury, he seems to have embraced that a little bit more. I don't know if you're getting that vibe off him.
No, I agree. Like, listen, isn't it a bit mad now that we're getting two rematches as well in Manchester? We're getting two full-blown rematches, and they both had weird endings. Like, it's a bit of a weird card, really, to have them two things. You know, both ended very strange. The Curtis Blaydes was far too quick. I mean, we could clearly see in the Leon fight, Leon was running away with it. He was getting his timing and range, and we could make reads on what's going to happen in the next one. But from Curtis, what did we see? A low kick. Like, you know, we didn't really see anything. So that fight is really interesting. But Tom was just, like I say with Leon, I am biased. Sorry, I'm being very biased, lads. Like, them two are just looking leagues and leagues above anyone else in their divisions right now, I'm being honest.
And it's hard, isn't it, to make an argument for anybody else. Stylistically, in Tom's fight, a heavy-handed wrestler you would think is probably the hardest stylistically that Tom could come up against. Don't get me wrong, there's bigger names, there's bigger profiles, there's people that have been there, done it, got the T-shirt in low weight divisions. But there seems a lot of, with all due respect, and I mean this very respectfully, there seems a lot of one-dimensional heavyweights at the moment. For example, Jailton Almeida, right? I'll highlight him. Sensational jiu-jitsu, good grappler. When it comes to the striking element of stuff, okay, he's knocked a few people out, but he's not on the level of a Tom Aspinall. He might be able to live with him when they're rolling around on the mat, but he ain't going to be able to rock and roll with him when it comes to the feet. And that's very similar if you go all the way down. They've got a brilliant skill set, but they're not necessarily as well-rounded as a Tom Aspinall. Blaydes can do at least two things. He's a good grappler, and he does genuinely have heavy hands.
No, that's a great point you bring up there. Usually when you get to the heavyweight division, everyone's got a good smack, and it's who lands first in it. That's usually what it is when you get up to them heavier weights. But Tom Aspinall is the actual full package. He's got sensational boxing, spars Tyson Fury. He's a black belt on the ground. Probably some of the best transitions from hands to takedowns that I've seen in the game. The way he did that, was it Spivak? Who did he do it to now? The Russian fella, whatever he's called. The way he did the jab fake and the double leg, honestly, the timing was sensational. And, you know, he's just such a well-rounded mixed martial artist for heavyweight division. He moves different to all the other heavyweights, Adam. Most of them are flat-footed and they want to swing and land. Tom's in and out the pocket, spectacular boxing. And like I say, it just sounds, we sit on this show and sound unbelievably biased towards English fighters, but it's complete honesty, isn't it?
Well, I think it is. And listen, I know that there's a lot of our British audience that watch this show, and maybe they have a very a similar feel to us. It'd be interesting to know what international viewers and international listeners have regarding their opinion of Leon Edwards and Tom Aspinall. Yeah, they're maybe a little bit quieter. They don't have the brash personalities. Maybe those international viewers, when they're thinking of British fighters, they're used to Bisping and Bisping being there. You hear him before you see him type of vibe, you know what I mean? And obviously he got to the top of the tree, did Mike. These guys don't necessarily do that, but when it comes to martial arts, when it comes to the cage door shutting, they really are sensational. And I think that Leon Edwards is absolutely in a purple patch right now. He is the man at welterweight. I think the biggest challenge for him could be Shavkat, but we'll find out a little bit later down the line as to whether that's going to materialise or not. And from a Tom Aspinall point of view, listen, I've said it on countless occasions. Said it on the show a couple of weeks ago, didn't I? There is a reason why John Jones doesn't want to fight him. There's a reason. I mean, he knows that it's put in that legacy and that undefeated, so to speak, record. He's putting it on the line against someone like Tom Aspinall. There are easier paths to victory against other fighters, i.e. Alex Pereira, Stipe Miocic, Curtis Blaydes, all these others. There's an easier path to victory than there is against Tom Aspinall. He is the premier heavyweight on the planet right now. And I hope that he gets to showcase some of that on Saturday evening. I say I hope, mate. His average time inside the octagon is less than 2 minutes. It's wild, isn't it? Mate, he's had eight fights in the UFC, right?
Oh, here we go. Curtain call. Right? The numbers are out. He's had 8 fights in the UFC. Okay? I think there's 3 main events in there, so there's the possibility of doing 3 25-minuters. He has not been in the octagon for a full fight yet. Less than 15 minutes worth of octagon time. It's wild. Yeah, I mean, at that level, to be at the level that Tom's at and just be dispatching the way he is.
Well, we'll come back to predictions at the end of the show. Let's get into this lightweight contest, because there might be a little bit more when it comes to jeopardy here, because Bobby Green, now known as King Green, I love that. I love that he's changed his name. What a geezer. King Green, ranked number 15 in the division, taking on Paddy Pimblett, coming off the back of a win against Tony Ferguson. As I look at this is a proper test now. Paddy's had some good... let's say pieces of matchmaking in his UFC tenure.
Agreed.
Okay, he got an opportunity against Tony Ferguson, a legend that's absolutely on the slide. That's no disrespect to Tony, but that's just a fact. This is it. Now we're going to find out what the crack is. Is Paddy Pimblett a top 15 fighter in the UFC?
Mate, we've spoke about this before, Adam. We really have, and I told you that after all the people that I've sparred in my career, Rafael Fiziev is the best. And, you know, look how that fight went. I mean, he took Rafael all the way. His striking is underrated. Bobby Green is a true veteran of the sport. He's been around forever, and it's a really tough test.
What do you make of his striking, mate? Because you look at it, and it shouldn't work. His hands, he's literally got his hands in his pockets, hasn't he? As Bobby Green. He's got him right down by his side, and he flicks that jab out from a really, really weird angle. It comes... A lot of the times when he's actually striking, he stood chest on. He stood square on, very similar to like what sometimes Nate Diaz does. He's throwing shots like this rather than from a southpaw or an orthodox stance. He stands chest on, and he's still knocking dudes out.
Yeah, but he's also getting knocked out, Adam. That's what you got to take into consideration. It's one of them styles that it works until it doesn't work, which it hasn't worked on a few occasions. He's got a really awkward style, and some high-level strikers have been able to figure that style out. Now, Paddy, I wouldn't put him down as a high-level striker. He's well known as a predominant grappler. So it's very interesting. This is going to come into wrestling. Can Paddy get him to the floor? I mean, Paddy might surprise us in the striking. It looks like he's been improving there. Really interesting fight.
I think Paddy has to approach it similar to the way that he approached Tony Ferguson. I think he's going to be prepared to stand a bit with Bobby Green. The reason, King Green, as I say. The reason why I say that is because, yeah, you can see Paddy's obvious skill set being grappling, right? King Green, he's never been submitted in the UFC. Last time he was submitted was 2009. So it's a long, long time ago since this fella's been tapped out or choked out inside any type of cage. I think Paddy has to get his respect on the feet at some point in order to be able to do what he wants to do with him maybe later down the stretch. He's got to be patient, mate. He can't play to the crowd. If he plays to the crowd, Bobby Green will be all over it.
I mean, that's a very good point you just brought up, plays to the crowd. Paddy gets in his opponent's heads, and he has done for years, Adam. That's been one of his main weapons. I mean, when he was sat in a press conference with Tony Ferguson, he destroyed him. He just destroyed him. He's quick with the vocals. He's a typical Scouser, the fast off the mark. Yeah, Bobby Green or King Green, he's not going to play to any of that. He's about that life, Adam. He's ready for it. And that's what makes this fight double interesting.
It's ridiculous. It's his 50th professional bout, Bobby Green. And randomly, 10 of them have come in the last 3 years.
Here we go.
He's just churning them out, mate. You know the numbers. The numbers are here. Look,
no,
you listen. The numbers. You only turn up for the numbers.
No, Adam, when you start racking these numbers out, yeah, I think I need to start looking in books or do something, because Adam is absolutely tearing me to pieces with numbers every time.
Mate, you bring experience. I'll do facts and stats. You do life. You do actual experience from being in there, mate. That's why the show's working, bro. That's why the show works. Exactly that. Right, talk to me about Mokaev, because you're a mate of his. You've known him a long, long time. He's been on mats with you since he was a wee kid. He's got a hell of a fight on his hands against Manel Kape.
Very tough fight. But Mohamed, I can't remember you'll know. What's his exact record, Adam? Go on.
What, professionally?
Everything, all in.
Oh, mate, mate, including street fights, I wouldn't know.
Well, let's just say it's one of the most experienced records in UK MMA for a guy this age. It's insane how many fights Mohamed's had. IMAF all the way through to the UFC, high-level experience against great opponents, and he's making them look easy. He's had a few where, it's been a bit sticky, but it's going to be at this level. Manuel Kape, what do I say about Manuel Kape? Very explosive. He's also pulled out of a lot of fights, so it makes you think, where's he at mentally? He's going to be up for this fight. I know they've had a bit of back and forth, but I just see Mo being too slick with the takedowns and overriding him with a decision. That's what I see.
I'm feeling very similar to you. The one thing that's been impressive with Mo, right? He's got a high percentage finish rate in his short UFC career. I thought he was unfortunate not to get the Pantoja fight when Steve Erceg got it, but we find ourselves in this situation fighting Manel Kape, right? And okay, he might not necessarily showcase his striking abilities as much as I think he should do, because I think he's underrated. I think he's actually quite good on the feet, but his go-to's constantly grappling, and that's where he feels most comfortable at the moment, and that's okay. He's winning. He's finishing people. But what he's also shown is an incredible amount of mental fortitude in there. We've seen on a couple of occasions where he's been getting his ass kicked a little bit. We've seen his knee being bent in different directions. We've seen Tim Means beating him for a long period of time in that fight. Mo keeps believing till the end. You've got to flush this dude. If you can't flush it, he ain't going away. And he will find a way back into the fight. And if you just give him a glimpse, look at the Tim Means fight. It's a perfect example. Tim Elliott. Sorry, Tim Elliott. He's winning. He's Dirty Bird is what I had in my head there, right? He's winning the fight, right? He's winning the fight.
Yeah.
But he makes one slight error in the third round, and Most jumps on it and turns the fight in his favour and finishes him.
Yeah, agreed.
Very difficult to finish Tim Elliott in those situations, and Mo did it. He's got some serious. Whatever's going on between his ears is probably his biggest strength.
Well, that's what I say. What is he now? 22 years of age, or 20, whatever he is. And the level of experience, if you add up the experience, people don't get that kind of experience till 35 years old. He's managed to get, combined all them fights in with youth, Adam. It's kind of a crazy position that he's in. And to go in a viral knee bar like that, when I tell you that knee bar was on. It was one of the nastiest knee bars I've ever seen. To not tap in that, this guy's built different. Some will call it the Manchester grit. You know what I mean? Built different round here. That's what we call it.
I'm looking forward to this, because this absolutely solidifies the next title challenger, you would think. And I hope, listen, again, you've said at the start of the show we're being biased. Yeah, we know these guys. So I hope that it's Mo. But I like Manel Kape. I like his attitude. I like the fact that he's taken himself out of his comfort zone. He's moved himself by himself to Las Vegas, working in the PI by himself, grinding, working, doing his thing. He's put the results together as well. And this could be an absolute firecracker of a fight, so I'm looking forward to it. One thing that is guaranteed is that somebody's going to get hurt in Arnold Allen and Giga Chikadze. Somebody, right? Because these two fellas leather the living daylights out of people. And I given the fact that where they're at in their careers, it's a real crossroads moment for the pair of them. You know, Arnie's not been in this situation before when he's coming off the back of 2 losses. Giga's had a few bumps along the way. You know, we're fighting now for relevance in the top 5 of the 145ers. You have to win the fight.
No, you couldn't have put that any better. And I think Arnold Allen is extremely underrated. Don't forget, he took Max Holloway to everything. Max Holloway had to be at 100% to beat Arnold Allen. That wasn't an easy fight for him at all.
No.
Arnold is one of them fighters. When he shows up, look what he did to Dan Hooker at the last time when he was in England. Like, when he shows up like that, mate, the guy's a world beater. He's got a wealth of experience. You know, he's got all that tri-star knowledge. He's been with Faraz and all them for years. Now he's homing it back in with Leon, and he's in a great camp over here. And I'm a big, well, biased again, but I'm a big fan of Arnold Allen. I love his style. You know, he's in my weight division, so I've always been watching his style and stuff. And I just think he's a great athlete. You know, you see his family and his dad, they're all weightlifters and they're all in unbelievable shape. He's obviously got great genetics combined with perfect technique. And I just think Giga Chikadze and him could be the fight of the night. I really do. That is the sleeper on the card. That's what I believe.
Yeah, could be a cracker. Before we get into the prelims then, are we going for an all-British main card sweep, or do we see some jeopardy somewhere?
I think it's all the fights we just mentioned. I'm pretty confident. What about you, Adam?
I think Leon Edwards beats Belal Muhammad, and there'll be people who debate. I think he stops him. I think he'll piece him up, and we'll get to maybe round 4, something around that time, and it'll be just too much. And then what we'll have is a big debate with people having a go at me saying, no, you can't give him GSP's welterweight record. Yeah, I can. If I want to give him his record, I'm going to give him his record, okay? It's straight victories. I know there's a no contest in the middle of all this, which people will argue about, but 13 straight victories, that's what it'll be. He's pretty special. He absolutely deserves celebrated. So I think Leon Edwards will get the business done in the main event. I think Tom Aspinall will be rapid as he always is against Curtis Blaydes and showcase his elite skills and technique and mentality. The jeopardy fight is Bobby Green and Paddy Pimblett. That's the jeopardy fight that I see on this main card. But there's something different about Paddy. From maybe just before the Tony Ferguson fight, he got a bit of backlash, did he? Because let's be straight, he got away with one. Many people thought he lost the fight.
We all get one.
He got away with one, right? And I think he's matured. He's not blowing up in between fights anymore with the food and all that type of stuff. He's become a dad. There's a different vibe about Paddy. I think he'll approach this. I don't think he'll get emotionally involved. I don't think he'll be paying too much interest to what's going on outside. He'll respect Bobby Green once that fight's on. But he's going to have to come through a fire. There's going to be a moment in this fight where we're going to think that Paddy's on the verge of getting finished here. And I think he'll ride it. He'll stay in it. And he'll come through on points. I think he'll just edge it. There might even be a debate at the end, but I think he'll just come through. I think Mokaev will come through on points against Manel Kape, and I think Arnold Allen will finish Giga Chikadze. There you go, mate. I put them all on the line, lad. They're all on the line for you.
Is it my turn now?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. Very similar to what you just said. I see Leon on the outside, stabbing, kicking, punching, making Belal's life hell for the first 2 rounds. Belal getting desperate, making a mistake. End of the third, I can see a left teep to the body. It's going to pull him over, and a left straight or a left head kick again. That's how particular I'm going.
Wow.
That's how particular I'm going, Adam.
Wow. Spot the fighter on the show is all I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. Spot the fighter.
There we go. And if that comes true, wow. Call me Mystic Bren. So the next one, I see Tom Aspinall being too quick in and out of the pocket, defending takedowns, maybe catching him with a nice uppercut on the way and also making Curtis Blaydes desperate. And when he does catch him on the way in, knee, uppercut, something too fast in and out of the pocket for my liking. Can see Tom also getting the finish. Who's next? Arnold? Arnold next?
Bobby and Paddy.
Oh, okay. Now, in my honest opinion, I really don't think that Bobby Green's going to be affected by the English crowd. I think 9 fighters out of 10 fighters would be affected by that Manchester crowd. I think Bobby Green's going to love being in that role. I think he's going to enjoy it.
He likes it.
I think he's going to enjoy it. I think he's going to embrace it. But he is nearly 40 years old, Adam. He's nearly 40. It's a lot of fights. I think the youth will come through on this one. I see split decision, Paddy. And then Arnold Allen. I think he's going to come through adversity. I think he's going to take a good few left body kicks because Giga's really good with them body kicks. And I see him overcoming him with the hands. And I also see him getting the finish. Mokaev does what Mokaev does. He takes him down, he suplexes him, makes him tired, makes it look easy. There you go, all in one.
Hang on. So you've actually done exactly what I've just done.
Have I really?
I love it though, mate. Love it. That's it. Listen, if all that gets delivered, we're in for a good night.
We see what we see though, Adam. Like, I can't lie.
Right then, let's get into the prelims. Nathaniel Wood, Daniel Pineda. Is Nathaniel Wood one of the most unluckiest fighters that you're ever going to come across?
Mate, he's had a tough road in the UFC, hasn't he? I mean, let me just talk about this Daniel Pineda fight, because I know Daniel Pineda quite well, because he was in the PFL, Adam, so I know him, like, I know his style. He's an awkward fight, Adam. He's like, he comes forward, he's tough, he's got a wealth of experience. He actually was about to win the PFL tournament. He knocked out Blaydes, who beat me.
Tell him why they pinged him.
Tell him why he was out.
Yeah, go on. Or do you want me to do it?
Daniel Pineda, he was about to win the PFL tournament. He knocked out Blaydes, who's one of the best fighters on the planet right now, 21-0. Beat myself, so you know he's got to be good. And he knocked Blaydes out. He knocked Blaydes clean out. Then he knocked out Jeremy Kennedy, I think. 2 people in one night, clean out. Both world-class fighters. Everyone was like, oh my God, who's this guy? On his way to the final, about to win $1 million 2 weeks before, pop for every steroid under the sun. Pop, pop, pop. Everything pops up. Everything. The kitchen sink came out. So Daniel Pineda, you know, Adam, you know my thoughts on this sort of stuff. You've also got very similar thoughts. You know, I've got no respect for it whatsoever. I've got zero tolerance for it. Having said that, it was many years ago. Sure, he's a different man now and a different fighter. He's also in with USADA now, so it's different. But, you know, I'm always going to root for Nathaniel Wood and the English, obviously.
Mate, the lad had more pharmaceuticals in him than your local pharmaceutical, local chemist, mate. He was absolutely ravenous, wasn't he? Like you say, he delivered 2 big knockout victories. They got overturned. They're now no contests, aren't they, in the PFL? This is his second stint with the UFC. Daniel Pineda taking on Nathaniel Wood. But what I will say is this. There's levels to this game. And Nathaniel Wood, since moving up in weight, has looked absolutely mustard. And the reason why I highlighted him as a guy that has been incredibly unlucky is that when he was... I mean, he's been on cards in the past where he's had freak injuries in training. I mean, I remember him being matched up against Leron and the fight ended up falling off because he fell on a piece of wood in camp, cut his knee open, so he ended up missing out on that card. He's had all sorts of problems in and out at camp. He got an absolute stinker of a decision against Casey Kenny. He then steps up in weight, has 3 brilliant victories, and last time out against Naimov, I can't remember how many fouls Naimov actually put into the fight, whether the defence grabs, the groin strikes, eye pokes. I can't remember how many it was. Didn't get any points deducted. Absolute stinker of a decision at the very minimal. Nathaniel Wood should have walked away with a draw from that fight. He didn't. He ends up coming off the back of it with a loss and walking into this fight. I think he's a level above Daniel Pineda, and I think we're going to see just how good Nathaniel Wood is come Saturday night. He's a new dad. He's got a new mentality. I think it's going to be a 30-27 shutout victory in Nathaniel Wood's favour. He might even deliver a 10-8 round at some point, mate. I think it's going to be that clinical.
Mate, I can't say anymore. I'm absolutely on side with you. Daniel Pineda's touching up in years now. You know your stats and numbers, but I know he's late 30s minimum. And I do think his best years are behind him right now. And Nathaniel Wood just coming into prime at featherweight.
One thing that is absolutely for certain, the party will be bouncing when Molly McCann walks to the octagon. She's taking on Bruna Brazil. Bruna Brazil is the girl that beat Shauna Bannon, who's also on this card. We'll talk about her in a minute. But she's the girl that beat Shauna Bannon on Shauna Bannon's debut. Molly McCann, down in weight. Looked good in her debut at this weight, mate. Getting a submission victory. I mean, Molly doesn't normally do that. She's normally spinning all over the place like a Tasmanian devil, knocking people out. But an armbar victory last time out just shows how much she's growing.
Yeah, I seen a picture of her and Paddy stood together, and they both look in absolutely phenomenal shape. So you can tell they both took this fight very seriously. You know, it's the Manchester card, and I'm looking forward to seeing Molly fight. Molly always brings the party. Let's have it right. She comes out to mad music. She's the life of the party, Molly, isn't she?
Yeah, man. And I know that she's had a few troubles, let's say, outside of the octagon recently. Fingers crossed that this can be the place where she gets to flow and do her thing in front of the Manchester crowd. One man that absolutely needs something special is Mick Parkin, mate. He's come into the UFC through the Contender Series. He's had 3 decision victories. It's been a little bit one-paced right now. You're quickly forgotten in the heavyweight division, aren't you? You've got to deliver some viral moments. He's taking on Breczki at the weekend, and I actually think he's made for Mick Parkin to be able to go through the gears and deliver something that captures the imagination of the fans.
So basically what we're saying is, guys, every English fighter is going to win on the weekend. That's what me and Adam are getting across to you all at home.
Just wait a minute. I haven't got to the early prelims yet, but what I'm saying is that Mick Parkin needs to do something special, doesn't he, to really kickstart his UFC career, because he's kind of just plodded a little bit for me in the first 2 fights.
Do you know what? I've got to be honest. I don't know who the guy is.
There you go. And that's my point. And that's my whole point. If he'd have delivered viral moments, mate, you'd know who he was. That's my whole point.
Listen, I was just about to start winging it and be like, yeah, well,
that's not what
I can't. I'm sorry. I just don't know who that is. I don't know what gym he's out of. And I'm just like trying to wing it with you, Adam, but it's the truth.
Well, let me give you a bit, right? Because he's training with Tom Aspinall, so he's in that
Tell
gym.
everyone, please.
So, right, he trains with Tom, and he's been training with him for a period of time. And don't get me wrong, he's still relatively new in his UFC and MMA career in general. He's got an opportunity through the Contender Series. He's fought a lot in the Apex behind closed doors. Last time out, he took on Kamaru Usman's brother, Mohamed Usman, and he beat him over 3 rounds, right? I was there in the Apex that night, but he started incredibly slowly, and he got wobbled in the first round. It's been very one-pace from Mick. His debut, UFC 286, was fantastic, but again, it wasn't that bang moment. In the heavyweight division, you need those bang moments. You need those moments to capture the imagination of people. You need to be able to be putting people over. I think there's going to be a moment with Mick Parkin where he commits properly to a shot, he sits down on it a little bit, and he puts someone over, and that'll be the penny dropping. Once that happens, then I think this kid will go, because he's got some real good technicalities to his striking. And I think the opponent that he faces in Manchester is made for him to be able to do that. I just hope he commits. That's all.
Well, best of luck to him, Adam. And you know what? I'm actually looking forward to seeing him fight now. You said it. And if he's training with Tom Aspinall, Tom Aspinall does not waste his time with people that are not good. That's all I will say about that one.
There you go, mate. Right. Now, this has been moved. I believe that this has been moved, but I'm going to speak about it anyway because there's been an opponent change and what have you. Christian Leroy Duncan versus Gregory Rodriguez, Robocop himself. It was Robert Bryczek. Robert Bryczek pulled out this fight. Robocop stepped up. Christian Leroy Duncan against Robocop, mate. Christian Leroy Duncan, I mean, he's run on Cage Warriors, the highlight reels, his time in Taekwondo, the highlight reels. He had a little bit of a bumpy start in the UFC because when he made his debut, he won, but he won via his opponent getting injured. His opponent injured his knee, and he won via TKO. His second fight, he fought Petrosian, and he ended up getting beat. Now, that's no shame. Petrosian's a good fighter. And then he gets a win, and then the last time out I saw him, mate, he looked mustard. flowing beautifully, really good striking. It's like, and there's a couple of fighters I'm going to refer to with this. Him and Sam Patterson's another one. It's like they had imposter syndrome, if that makes sense. Now that they've got a win under the belt, it's like, oh, I am a UFC fighter. I belong in the UFC. I am actually pretty good. Last time out, he was absolutely brilliant, but this is a real step up taking on the Brazilian Rodriguez.
No, trained with him, mate. I've been in Thailand with him. He was at Tiger Muay Thai for a bit with us. Fantastic person as well, you know. What a great attitude towards the sport. Last time out, he looked sensational. Everyone speaks really highly of him in the gym. And he's a great fella, great energy to be around. And I just think he's coming into his own. In Cage Warriors, mate, he looks unbeatable. And once we see them shades coming through the UFC, I think he's an undercover superstar, mate. I really do.
Yeah. He's got a massive size on him as well for the weight, and he's a big boy.
Great fighter.
Auburn Elliott taking on Preston Parsons. I love Auburn Elliott. He's got a great personality. Burst onto the UFC scene. And he's taking on Preston Parsons. I'm going to be dead honest with people tuning into this. I actually think that Preston Parsons is going to do everything in his power to spoil this fight, just because of the way he's a submission artist. He's a grappler. He wants to get you down. He wants to get hold of you. He wants to get you on the mat, right? And don't get me wrong, Auburn Elliott can do a bit of everything, but I don't think that this is going to lend to a real fan-friendly, watchable fight.
I mean, you know, he comes from a great gym. He's another well-seasoned fighter through the Cage Warriors ranks, and I just think, I don't know, I just feel like there's something about fighting in England that gives you a different type of... I think you come out of your shell, you go one way or the other. And the previous fights that we've talked about, you know, with the Duncans and Auburn Elliott and all these guys, I think we're going to get a few sleepers like these lads just rising to this occasion. And we're going to get superstars coming out at the Co-op Arena on the weekend. I just feel like a few names are going to be made. I think we're all... Like, we were talking previously, I didn't know who that lad was. But I will do come the weekend. I think we're going to get some moments from these guys. I really do. And girls.
Sam Patterson's taking on Kiefer Crosby, a battle of England versus Ireland. That's always going to bring out a little bit of something special. Patterson obviously was knocked out badly on his debut, but he stepped up in weight since, gone to Canada, got a fantastic victory. And it's that victory, and you'll be able to speak a little bit about this, Brent. This is a young man, Sam Patterson, who was on the international scene fighting for Brave and places like that. He's done it the hard way. He's had to go away and do his thing. He's come into the UFC. His friends and family get to watch him for the first time. He gets knocked out badly on debut. Now, I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's going to affect that kid mentally. He's going to be a bit shot shy next time he goes out. Oh, he's got a long way back. That's going to take him a long time to come back. Fair play to him. He jumped straight back on the horse, went out to Canada, got himself a first-round submission victory. He looked mustard, absolutely mustard. Parked the debut to one side, and now he gets an opportunity to do it again in front of British fight fans, this time against Kiefer Crosby. Again, imposter syndrome. Feels like he's settled into the fact that he's a UFC fighter and accepted the fact that he's actually pretty good. And hopefully we'll get to see the proper Sam Patterson.
Yeah, just leading on from what you said there, it goes one way or the other after a knockout, mate. You see people shy away. People like, for example, Marlon Moraes. Like, I think he lost 7 in a row after one knockout. Like, he's the perfect example of ways that you can go after a knockout. But then you get people like Michael Bisping and like Brendan Loughnane who get knocked out and come back and win world titles. So, you know, bad start to the UFC. Manchester crowd behind him yet again. Another one that could rise up.
Could do. Kicking off the night, we've got Modestas Bukauskas taking on Marcin Prichinho. Two guys in very similar spots, mate. Coming off the back of losses. Fighting for relevance, I suppose. I know that Modestas has been in the UFC, got cut, went away, did well with Cage Warriors, came back, got 2 fantastic victories on his comeback, but then lost out last time. Prichinho's in a similar vein of form. I think both guys aren't going to be looking to hug each other. They're going to be looking to try and knock each other out, which is sensational for the first fight of the night. And that's kind of what you want. You want someone to set the tempo, don't you, Brent? When we sit down in our seats on Saturday night, you want someone to go, right, come on then, let's have it. Light the touch paper, get the crowd pumping, and set it for the evening.
No, but listen, Modestas coming back from that knee injury, mate, to go back through the Cage Warriors road, he got completely rerouted, went through, got some sensational victories through Cage Warriors again, and got himself back in the UFC.
I'm sure he became Cage
you know
Warriors
what?
champ again, didn't he?
From a career ending, like they end your career, them type of injuries. So to get back to the UFC, respect to the fella.
Yeah, man. And that is kind of how it looks. Do you know what? One thing that I will say, I know that, listen, it's a great card. We've got some great British talent. I would love my man to be on that, but obviously he's got other obligations with the PFL at the moment. A couple of other fighters that I'm a little bit heartbroken that they're not on. First and foremost, Lerone Murphy. If we're going to do a Manchester card, we've got to have a proper mank on there, haven't we? We've got to do a bit.
I don't know why they didn't put the Barboza fight on there. It doesn't make any sense to me, Adam, honestly. What?
Well,
and they had the Brazil card around that same time.
Yeah. Listen, the opportunity rose for... You can't knock Lerone for jumping at opportunity to fight Edson Barboza. I mean, look what he's done for his career now. He's boosted him in the rankings. He's absolutely flying. He got a great victory that night as well. It was a main event. I know it was the Apex, but I think you're right. It would have been brilliant if they'd have brought Edson Barboza and Lerone Murphy and stuck it on this card. It would have been unreal.
You know, one more. Let me shout another man that should be on this card. Jordan Vucenic. What is going on? Why is he not in the UFC? What is happening, mate? He's just destroying everybody in Cage Warriors.
Did you see his performance at the weekend?
He's a well-rounded, great fighter, great attitude, great finishes, looks the part, talks the part. Come on, lads, answer the phone now. What's happening? Do you know what I mean?
Fantastic submission victory at the weekend in Cage Warriors. He's a talent, he's Jordan. There's a couple actually in the Cage Warriors, like Luke Riley. I know he's a scouser, he's not a man, but he's a character as well that might get that call in the not too distant future. There's a few guys that are in the UFC though. Like I said, Lerone would have been brilliant to be on this card. One guy that always brings it, it's either you or him, is Danny Roberts. And I like to have seen Danny doing a little bit. He's always fun. Davy Grant, man, come on.
Where's Dangerous Davy Grant, the nicest human that ever lived? Where is it?
A proper OG of British mixed martial arts. That would have been pretty special. And a man that has been a staple on some of these cards recently, Jai Herbert. I know that he's fighting next week in Abu Dhabi. He's got an opportunity out there. So fair play to Jai Herbert. It would have been nice to see Jai on the same card as Leon Edwards' stable, mate. There you go.
Yeah,
mate. It just goes to show where British mixed martial arts is at though right now, Brent. It's absolutely flying when we're talking about being disappointed of certain British fighters not being on the card.
You know what it is, mate? I say this to people all the time, right? You know, when I first started this year, you had to go to America to make it. We have to go to America and learn wrestling because that's the way to go. Listen, they'll be coming to us soon. We're the ones that are going in there now. You don't want like Leon, Tom, Mohammed's not far away. Larone's pushing the top 10. I've got world titles. Like, there's just talent all over the UK. We're just taking over all divisions in all organisations now. And it really is the golden age for us. And I think this weekend's going to solidify how good the talent is in the UK.
For us to finish off, are you ready? Whole card now, the whole card. Here we go. I want you to pick one. You can't have several. Don't even name several. Just give me one. I want you to give me one fight of the night and 3 performance of the night bonuses. Go.
Okay. Fight of the night, Arnold, Alan Chikadze. Performance of the night, I'm going to go Leon Edwards. I'm going to go Mohamed Mokaev. I think he's just going to look too good and too slick on the wrestling. And I'm also going to go Molly McCann. I think Molly rises to these. Honestly, I think Molly, the way she comes out, remember the elbow, mate? Let's not forget who shut the show down last time. So I'm going to go Molly.
Mate. Oh, that is naughty. Do you know something? I'm going to go fight of the night, Mokaev and Manel Kape.
Yeah.
I'm going to go performance of the night. I think both title holders will get performance bonuses. Leon and Tom. I think Tom will be super fast. And I'm going... Oh, you've nicked my Molly one, you dirty... I'm going to go... It'll probably be Molly, but I'm going to go Nathaniel Wood. There you go. I'll go Nathaniel Wood with the performance.
Yeah, good choice.
There you go.
Good choice.
Listen, action-packed week. We've got loads of content coming your way on the talkSPORT MMA YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe. Me and him are going to be in person. We're going to be next to each other. We're going to bring you another preview a little later on in the week once we've spoken to a lot of these guys and girls connected to UFC 3 or 4 and get you closer to the action. Then when it comes fight night, it's just going to be pandemonium and chaos, isn't it? We'll get you a review show out very, very quickly. So if you go into it, make sure you come and say hello to us. Like and subscribe to the channel. We'll catch you next time.